So, hey everyone, thank you for joining Infiflex. We have a special guest today, Mike Haley. So, Mike is originally from Toledo, Ohio, and Mike found his home in the Florida Sunshine State. So, Mike moved to Fort Myers with his family right after high school in 1993 and knew this is where he wanted to live. So without a clear plan or funds for college, Mike became one of the inaugural members of AmeriCorps, dedicating a year to serving the local community in exchange for a tuition stipend. After a brief return to Ohio to study audio video production in college, Mike moved back to Florida in 1998 to help raise his oldest nephew. So Mike went on to earn his MSCE and secured a position with Sony, followed by a successful career at Field Edge, a national software developer, in 2009, while finishing his degree at Florida State and advancing his career at Field Edge. Mike founded his own business, M&M Multimedia. Originally a video production company, M&M Multimedia has grown into a fully integrated digital media production and marketing company. Fast forward 3 years, in 2012, M&M Multimedia landed their first contract with Sony to produce content for the Sony Listens YouTube channel, bringing Mike's career full circle. So over the past 15 years, M&M Multimedia has assisted businesses and agency partners, both locally and globally, in building awareness, driving new initiatives, and achieving long-term growth. So I'm quoting you, Mike, "Our strength is digital media production with a focus on video production and interactive media. We know this area and we know how to engage customers using video. We specialize in creating visually effective media with marketing and training in mind. It all starts with understanding each company's objectives and then producing the most effective visual media to engage and solve problems." So as you say, Mike, we make media that makes you learn, laugh, cry, or buy.
Exactly. Well said, and sorry for the long bio, but now you know more about me than I knew about me. So I appreciate the intro there, and that wasn't a AI generated one, I promise you that. So without further ado, thanks for the introduction, and really happy to be on this call and have a conversation about the anything SEO related.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for, taking the time and dedicating it to, partner with us and Infiflex and go over, the latest trends, the updates, because, that is always ever evolving. And who better than, M&M Multimedia. I know you just did a class on this, so we, again, appreciate your expertise and hopping on here. So going based off of, any updates, what are just some new SEO trends that businesses should be aware of that have happened, over this year or over the last couple of years?
Well, I think you hit the, when we closed out my long bio there and the focus on video early on, that's really where I put a lot of my focus on creating good content and trying to differentiate our agency from the typical. And back in the days when I was doing search engine optimization, SEO, and Google ad management, digital marketing, essentially in the, I guess, early 2000s through the mid 2000s for Field Edge, we learned early on the benefits of lead generation. So Field Edge was a company that was basically it's now a SaaS software. So we had a broad reach where we had to reach out to basically air conditioning, electrical companies, and things like that. And so SEO it was a really good tool to start to get us to rank for these people. And early on, there was not a whole lot of software out there that did that. But along the way, at Field Edge would send me out to these marketing conferences. And so I would go to these big conferences that were, I was definitely in over my head sometimes at these things, and kind of wow, because they send us out to like Silicon Valley and these huge, conferences sponsored by Salesforce that went over the future of SEO. And around 2009-ish, somewhere in that era, video started to become a key component to starting to rank with the advent of YouTube and with the ability now to create video at a more cost-effective approach. We really started to focus on video to kind of differentiate ourselves. So that's why, when we talk about the emerging trends, one of the biggest ones is our strategy that we've incorporated. Probably it's not relatively new, but in the last few years, we have a great strategy where we can take existing kind of twofold, best practices. We'll take existing blog articles. So, for example, if you or yourself or clients have, and you're managing SEO for yourself or clients, one of our strategies is we go out there and we'll take existing content and use a combination of your existing content and AI. So there's another emerging trend, and we'll throw that in there and literally have prompts that will use AI to generate FAQ video questions based on the content that you have. And so what this allows us to do is then take those same questions and literally down to the syntax of that question and run that through a site you may have heard of called Answer the Public. So we have a paid account in Answer the Public that will allow us to now make sure that, hey, if this AI takes this article about, what are the best boat lifts for jet skis, for example, it will go through and make sure that we're writing those questions exactly how Google is receiving those questions. So in other words, if I'm going into Google or YouTube and I'm putting in what are the best boat lifts or lifts for my jet ski, we know exactly how that is. So sites like Answer the Public will show us search volume. It will show us, what are these FAQ questions that are built around the services and the products that you guys provide, and give us a roadmap of how to frame those questions. So from there, we're able to use the two emerging technologies in video production and AI to generate a list of, let's say, 10 FAQ questions, and then we'll present that to our client. We'll either coach them through how to create them themselves, refer them to somebody if they're not local. If they're local to the Southwest Florida market, we have 2 studios behind me here that will bring them in, and we'll start to get it on teleprompter and have like some nice. Wow, that was a big lightning. Sorry, guys. So Southwest Florida. So there you go.
Right.
But so then we literally go through and we'll start to create those videos. And then as a third step, a tool we use is the pro version of vidIQ, which allows us to more or less do competitive research. So what vidIQ will allow me to do is take another step and make sure that we're optimizing those for YouTube. So when I go into YouTube and I'm looking like, hey, what are the best jet ski lifts for my dock or whatever that question is, I can see what's ranking there and start to more or less build a library of tags, descriptions, and things that can literally easily be copy and pasted with this vidIQ tool and put into our YouTube optimization, our descriptions, our tags, and so forth. So I would say, to circle back on what are the emerging trends in SEO, and also emerging myths, I would say too, because I think AI has really driven people to wonder.
Yeah.
Is AI going to hurt? Is Google like it? Do search engines going to penalize it? And the answer is yes and no. I don't have a definitive answer, but
Yeah.
can talk about the processes and the best practices of how we use AI to enhance and get our SEO out there and ranked and indexed quicker than we were be able to 2 or 3 years ago.
And that's actually a really good segue into one of the questions I did have. So one of them was, how are AI and machine learning influencing SEO practices? And then utilizing tools like ChatGPT or the ones that you just mentioned, is that going to improve keyword targeting, your content creation, or the user experience? Or do you think that it's more of, like you were saying, like a guideline to create a roadmap?
I think if you use it more as a guideline and a supplemental tool for now, that would be my recommendation. We early on, about halfway through last year, we started implementing and just testing things. Like, I mean, that's the one thing I always tell people too. Like, if you're getting into SEO, do your research, learn yourself, get a base foundation of it. But the bottom line is, once you kind of establish the ecosystem of tools you want to use and the methodologies you want to use for SEO, it's literally get it out there. And so we've kind of switched our strategy of using AI to generate content and have ways that we can humanize that content. So nowadays, you could go out there, you could say, hey, I need a 1,200-word article about the best jet ski lifts for Florida. So sometimes you want to make sure that you're targeting different geographical areas. So I want jet ski lifts for Florida. I want them for coastal Texas, whatever it may be. Once you establish the service product, you match that up with the location keyword. A lot of people will just go in there and say, hey, ChatGPT, write me a 1,200-word article on this. It's but it's going to be probably 90% ChatGPT. It's not going to be humanized. We can run it through different tools out there. I think there's one like no ChatGPT scanner, almost like the professors had to use years ago to see if somebody was plagiarizing. Those tools exist now to figure out if something's AI completely generated. So now what we've done is we've used a tool called Humanize AI, and I can give you guys, at the end here, if we have time, I can give you the tools that we use if you guys are open to that. Yeah. But there's some tools that we use that now allow us to humanize it. And the one I'm referring to is Humanize AI text.ai. So I could take ChatGPT, have it start the heavy lifting, right? Then throw it into Humanize and reduce that ChatGPT score. So that's one way we can do it. Now, in that case, what we would do then next is we would run it through another product that we rely on. And if you guys are making notes here, if you had to pick one tool, one paid tool, I know I've had one paid tool, then there's a product out there called Surfer SEO. And we've been using Surfer SEO for years. In the past, what that would allow us to do is going way back, is we could take existing content or write our human content, put it in Surfer SEO, and it will give us a optimization score for SEO. If you guys are familiar with Jasper, kind of similar to that. But what this does now is they've implemented things like AI and so forth. So one of the best new features we've seen is they have this auto optimize feature. So I could put this in here. Let's say I get a score of 50 on the one I wrote. I could then hit auto optimize, and most of the time it's going to lift it into the green here and be able to go ahead and make sure everything's auto optimizes versus even 2 years ago, even a year ago, we would have to it would make suggestions, and then we'd humanly have to go and manipulate that.
So it definitely saves you time in terms of doing the heavy lifting, the research. You basically just want to make sure that you run it through the system so you don't have the same ChatGPT generated article or blog that someone else might have.
Yeah, and then another tip along those lines that me and my buddy teach in the class is, if you really want to if you just had ChatGPT, for example, and you wanted to make sure you had unique content, we've been teaching that interview ChatGPT. So you could say something, hey, ChatGPT, I just bought this brand new jet ski, and I would like to make it easier for me to get on and off of it from my dock. Do you have any suggestions? So you were literally treating ChatGPT like we're doing today. We're having a conversation, right? And then it'll spit back some information, and it'll be like, hey, ChatGPT, thank you for the information. I live on a canal in Cape Coral. Any suggestions about the weather conditions and things that might affect my jet ski lift? So now you're getting really unique information, because the way you're phrasing and having those conversations with for example, ChatGPT or the like, it's making them think and not just go in there and say, hey, I need 1,200 words about a jet ski lift. Because then it's just going to look out there, and the same person that put that prompt in is probably going to get something almost 75% similar to what you just got from them. So have a conversation, interview ChatGPT, and ask very specific either location questions or regional questions and things like that, and you'll end up getting very unique content anyways.
Yeah, I found I use ChatGPT a lot for my email templates or rephrasing things that I think myself it doesn't make sense. So with the emphasis on, having an actual conversation to build the quality of your content with high quality, user focused, how should businesses revise their content strategies to align with Google's expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness, the guidelines, and what types of content formats are gaining traction.
And going back to your EAT principle, right? The EAT stuff that Google said. So there is this core concept of being able to make sure that you're writing from a level of expertise for the E. I forget the second E, and then there is the authority and trust. So how do we build this expertise, authority, and trust using what I just said? And that's why we came back and said, let's have that conversation. So if you do it that way, Google's going to be like, oh, wow, this content that was produced isn't just a bot writing it, right? Even though a bot's helping you assist it, it's still giving it a better level of expertise. It's referring the authority. And then some of the authority stuff too, from the content standpoint, can come from linking strategies too. So you could build authority not just by the way you write and the context of the text, but these tools, for example, like the Surfer SEO, will automatically implement internal linking. So if I'm writing an article about the jet ski lift about Cape Coral, and I have another article from 3 months ago about boat lifts in Cape Coral, it's starting to make those interlinking connections within your website, if you have a robust enough website, and building that trust, because it's making that kind of connecting the web and building the internal linking structure. And then the other way you can get that is from external backlinks of building that authority too. So one of the things that you also can do with ChatGPT or the like, I'm just going to use that because that's what everyone knows, is when we taught the course last week, I literally gave them a playbook and said, this is here's the prompts you want to type in. So I gave them, I'm like, hey, if you're going to start with keyword research, right? Like if that's the first thing you got to do, start looking at the keyword research. So we have prompts that you can copy and paste in there and say, hey, I want 30 semantically relevant keywords about this topic. And then we even have follow-up prompts that help you refine that to say, okay, now use this keyword within those topics. And then I'll give you an example like M&M, since we mainly focus on video, SEO or digital, and then video production. It can then create keyword clusters and common themes throughout those. So now it's placing my video topics within its one table, my digital marketing SEO topics in one, and the web development side in another, right? So now it's starting to almost build this internal linking and building a map of what we call, there's a strategy called pillar content out there. So if you're starting to really have a content strategy, what the pillar content basically allows you to do is kind of create a hierarchy. I use one of our clients is the Punta Gorda Airport, and they wanted to start attracting people, more things to do, promote the area. So we had to have Punta Gorda as the pillar, but then we had to have things like dining, restaurants, and so forth. And then underneath there, we start to build this crazy internal linking structure, almost like a table of contents that Google just really, really loves when it starts to re-index or crawl your site.
So would you say that social signals and user engagement metrics are becoming more critical with your SEO, especially whenever you're implementing, video strategies or, Reels or TikToks or whatever it might be?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to really want to cover all angles of SEO, understanding all the different ranking factors and kind of how they're prioritized. But yes, social signals in the last decade or so have become more and more effective. We'll get in little, philosophical debates sometimes with our clients where they're like, hey, I don't want Twitter. We're not on Twitter. I don't like, or X and so forth. I'm like, but what they don't understand is those actually get indexed by Google. So even if if it only takes 5 more minutes to push it to, you're already doing it for Facebook and Instagram, push it to X, push it to these things. Even if you don't agree with the platform, you don't like the platform, sometimes we have to put our personal differences aside and do what's best for, generating more traffic and more online presence. So by all means, a good ecosystem, in my opinion, or a perfect kind of triangle would be some paid advertising at the top, doing your social, and some content marketing. Those are all going to help lift the SEO if you're doing it right and focusing on a defined strategy and keywords that you want to rank for.
So kind of piggybacking off of that, when businesses are leveraging social media, what about on-site engagement to improve, their visibility?
So if I'm understanding that correct, like using social media to push people to the website and get
Yeah.
the easiest one is probably doing the blog article strategy, or is creating the content that goes on your website, and not immediately, but as soon as we get that approved and posted to the client within that same month or so, a lot of our clients, we still do some organic social media posts. We're gonna go post that. If they're not on a social plan with us, we're gonna talk to their marketing team and be like, hey, make sure you're literally just copy and pasting that link into Facebook, into anyone that can, any of the platforms that allow you to push people away from the site, and get a little trickier with Instagram and things like that. But, putting the links in the description versus the video or the story, having it in your about tab and things like that. Those are still going to help you get some high authority links back to your site as well, because they're such reputable social platforms.
What about for, let's say you have someone who has like an e-commerce, what would you say are some of the recent changes with SEO in terms of that?
I think what it is on the e-commerce side, we predominantly work in WooCommerce, is a lot of this stuff can write your product descriptions. It can create your product comparison tables. It can create your related search items. So using AI to, let's say I just have one that's selling 3D pop-up cards, Key West greeting cards, and they're these beautiful cards, but they have different topics. So they'll have birthday and holidays and things like that. What we're able to do is use AI to create SEO strategies that help us create that internal linking between your different products, but also write the descriptions that are going to rank, and then be able to go ahead and put in things like, maybe there's, I'm gonna switch gears here. Like maybe you're doing something with ingredients. Those ingredients can become keywords. So we do a lot of nutritional based e-commerce stuff for supplements and things of that nature. So I think on the e-commerce side, it's just really focusing on prompts to write your page descriptions, your categories as well. So you want to rank for any product categories you have. You should have very detailed, rich category pages. I'm working on one now that is not so much, it's products, but you can't transact on the website, but it's selling roof flashings. And, so I have to figure out really quickly, what roof flashings qualify for different parts or categories and stuff like that, and be able to use that as an internal linking strategy lends itself well, because most of the time, the e-commerce sites we have several categories of products, if not hundreds of different products that all could have some SEO benefit for each other by doing the related internal linkings. You might also utilize social media to promote those using the different, trying to think of the word, it's escaping me, but there's different ways to like have product posts versus like e-commerce posts on different platforms as well.
Okay. And just for, my own understanding or giving an example, whenever you do have an e-commerce website and, you're uploading your products and the information about it, if you're not doing your research for keywords and the right SEO for it, how can that negatively impact whenever, a future client or a potential consumer is looking for a product?
Well, depending on the products, you might need to get into, and I'll use a class I took, and the example they used was they only sold blue jeans. So we had to get very, very, I guess, dialed in and do exact keyword matching and things like that, because we didn't want to rank for jeans. It would be a waste of our time if we only sold blue jeans, right? If we only sold men's and women's. So I guess, I don't know if I really am focusing on that question there, but if you're, I guess, understanding the products and understanding the ways you need to do keyword matching. So this is getting a little off SEO and more into like when we do Google, even when we do SEO, we do our keyword research, we're using Google Keyword Planner, which is part of the Google Ads platform. So going in there and understanding if you're trying to go for a broad match, exact match, and so forth, that's the first thing you have to understand. You know, if you're just selling jeans in general and you do have green and blue jeans and yellow jeans and pink jeans, jeans might be something you want to put time and effort into. But I also tell people to, when you're doing e-commerce, is find where you're unique, find your niche. And so if you only do blue jeans with button flies or whatever, and that's what people are looking for, or 70s style blue jeans or bell bottom jeans or whatever it is, start with the less competitive ones and something that's in your niche so you can see some early wins early on.
And in turn, like, how would that impact their user, like their user experience?
Well, one, you won't have a frustrated user that thinks you're offering them a product and then only click on something and find out that you only sell green jeans, even though you're, you know, because you ranked for jeans and really all you sell is blue jeans, right? So just the frustration of that. And then the other side of it too is you can look into utilize it. So taking a step back on the e-commerce side in general, one of the things you would want to look into is implementing the right schema markup code. So a lot of that stuff that you see on Google when you can get to shopping is there's ad ways to do that, but there's also SEO ways to get in there as well. So going back to like the user experience, I think it's really understanding your user and being able to personalize some of that as well. So even though it's the SEO is going to be what drives people to your e-commerce site, implementing some sort of personalization and AI marketing tools within your site. For example, I also am a minority owner of a company called Condesio.com, which is a WordPress hosting platform, and really focus on a lot of high performance WooCommerce sites. And we have just rolled out a couple things. We have Condesio Pay now, which is a payment processor, great, so we can compete with Stripe and all that. But we also have a new product, and quite frankly, we acquired somebody and rebranded it, but it's called Condesio Convert. And what this allows you to do is, if I'm going to spend all this time and effort using SEO to drive to my e-commerce site, it will be able to go ahead and have create a better user experience. It will know if it's a first-time user and it's somebody that came from a certain source, and can have very personalized pop-ups and offers and coupon codes, and, you know, be able to get them into a what we call like an abandoned cart type email. So I think more than anything, use SEO to drive the, you know, the keyword research and drive the traffic, but you're going to have to use other tools to really, you know, hone in on the user experience of what you want.
So whenever a business is looking into, you know, basically stay relevant, because that's the biggest thing, especially now with, you know, everyone being able to be in the forefront and push out, you know, ads and discounts and, you know, reels and different, you know, TikToks or whatever it might be. What should the focus be for like more long form content or video content? Like what are some things that you would recommend to stay relevant?
I would say all the above. So what I would do, and this is the strategy we play now, is if I'm going to take the time to research a keyword, identify my different user base and understand what they're searching for, I'm going to probably start with writing some long form text copy. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that same text copy and I'm going to go ahead and use AI to say, write FAQs that go at the bottom of this article. Then I'm going to use ChatGPT to say, create the schema markup code to wrap those FAQs in. And just so you know what this does, if you guys Google something like, I'll use the jet ski thing, you know, when you get in that, the page, the first page of Google is getting very cluttered and there's stuff all over. You got your Google guaranteed ads sometimes at the top, you got your map listings, you got paid ads. But what's becoming more popular is that people always ask. So if you have a product and a service that people are asking questions about, using that strategy to create the long form content, wrap it in FAQs, and then take that same text copy and create videos short little videos based off of that what I'm getting at, every video, if you came to us to do SEO video, we're going to have to start with the script anyway. So you probably have stuff out there that already could be repurposed as a script. And that's one really good thing that AI is able to do, is to take existing stuff and help you parse it down into scripts, FAQs, even writing the code to that you would need a developer to write, 3 or 4 months ago.
And in terms of like how important it is for content freshness compared to content depth, what balance should businesses have between the two?
I have a perfect strategy for that. Well, one, you want to go ahead and there's really, what AI has done is lower the barriers of being able to turn out content really quick. So one of the things we used to do in the old days is the previous days is you'll get 1 or 2 articles a month. We had packages like that. But what I've seen now is with the tools I have, I'm taking a different approach where we're trying to push as much content out there in the first 90 days or so just to get it out there. And we have, in certain cases, we have post and optimize later. So we have tools and different platforms that we pay a lot of money for that can actually push stuff right to your WordPress site, create the post for you, auto index those, and then we'll go back and do all the on-page SEO after we post them. We just spend a lot more time getting everything perfect semantically in the post itself. So no longer do we have to worry about. So for freshness, there's 2 things you can do. You can go ahead and start generating more new content. But what I've done for a few clients, like if we've inherited, I have a boatlet company that already had a ton of articles dating back to 2016. One of the cool things is you can use ChatGPT to rewrite that article, and then you can add some freshness, and then we'll just do a little thing in the post. We'll have the author, and it will have instead of posted on, it'll say updated on. You've seen it on news articles. They do this a lot where there'll be a running story that breaks today. You're really looking at the same article over the next couple of days, and it just says updated on. So looking at what you already have and taking those articles, and most of what I would suggest is look at Google Search Console. Like that's, if you had to look at one free tool, look at Google Search Console, go to your performance report, look at what pages are sitting. You can look at there what pages are sitting in position 20 or 30. 20 or 30 means it works in 10. So like page 1 is 10 and up, 20 and up's 2, 30 and up's 3. So what we do is we'll identify for a client really early on, what are some quick wins? Or what are you sitting on page 3 or 2 that we could re-optimize, update the content, make it fresher, and start to push that onto page 1?
That definitely makes sense. One thing I hear all the time, especially whenever I'm just talking to businesses in general, is everyone loves a good customer review.
Yes.
So with customer reviews and like your online reputation, how does local SEO and the updates to SEO and the algorithm and the analytics, how is that coming into play for businesses?
Well, I think when I hear local SEO, I hear kind of 2 things. One, I hear your Google business profile. Like that's a question we get a lot, is how do we optimize that? And the main thing is reviews are going to come into play on that. Doing a post every couple of weeks is going to play with that. Making sure that your account gets verified. It's getting harder and harder to verify a Google business profile now. Now they require video. We used to be able to help our clients a lot more with that because we could just send a postcard or whatever it may be. So just keeping an eye on making sure that your Google business profile is still verified, the information's accurate, you're targeting the cities that you want to target. And then from there, once you have that core down, then that's where you need something probably like either Bright Local, Yext, something like that, where you need to start building all of your online directory citations and business directory listings. And this is probably, you probably heard this before, but if your Google business profile, like we're at 227 Bruner Lane, if I have that spelled out, the word lane spelled out in my Google business profile, I want to go into something like Yext or one of these tools that can scan the internet and find all the other representation of M&M Multimedia's business directory listings and citations out there, whether it's Better Business Bureau, Yellow Pages, etc., and make sure it matches exactly what I have on my Google business profile. So that's the first thing I would do, and that should help you. Then you do definitely want to build the review side of things. And then, depending on your industry, take advantage of different things, or how your business is formed. Take advantage of it if you're a woman-owned business, or you're veteran-owned, or whatever these different basically badges you can get for Google. And then taking care of the badges, and then like if you're a restaurant, turn on the order online stuff, turn on the menu viewing, turn on make sure you have the get direction stuff turned on if you're a retail shop that people need to get to. So those are all the little things. And then the local SEO on the flip side would just be creating content for the cities you want to target. So if I'm taking on a local air conditioner contractor, I'm gonna have to start writing air conditioning repair Fort Myers. So I'm gonna have to have a dedicated page just for air conditioning repair Fort Myers versus air conditioning repair Cape Coral. These are going to be very different pages, and identifying those cities you want to target, the keyword, and then creating dedicated pages with at least 1,200 words of unique content is where you want to start.
And I feel like businesses should be have intent behind, what they're creating. So with the shift becoming more towards that, and also too with voice search, how should businesses adjust their content strategies?
Well, one of the things that we've done is, and I don't know the tool off the back of my head, I apologize, but I'll find out. One of the things we've done is we've added this plugin to most, like we work mainly in WordPress. There was a plugin that we added recently, and when I say recent, within the last year, that allows people, that takes your blog articles and it basically puts a AI voice over it. So it'll read it for them. So that's helping. It's one of the strategies we use to help with voice search. So like nowadays, if we're starting to get like, how do I get into my Alexa? When Alexa things, how do I get into Chat GPT, things like that. So I'll have to find out, and I can share that with you after the meeting. But that's one of the things that we've helped, is just adding little tools that allow us to convert the content into audio, for example. That's the first thing I would do.
And I know I'm skipping around a little bit, but what mentioning like Alexa and Google Home, and is there anything that can ensure their content is optimized for voice queries, or is that all based off of what you were just explaining?
There's third-party platforms now that are helping people with voice. It's not something I have dove into personally, but our team is doing. But it's going to require, what I would recommend is basically one, starting with the ability to have something on your website that converts the text, and it's basically a button. You'll start to see it on most news channels. I'll just say listen instead of read, and then you hit listen. So that's definitely the first thing I would do. And then there are kind of like the equivalent of Google Search Console, where Google Search Console is letting Google know that, hey, there's a new website out here and a new pages that need to be indexed. There are these third-party platforms I can grab for you that essentially does the same thing. So you can be in Alexa and the voice search and so forth. Almost the equivalent of these, we produce a lot of podcasts that help. So that's another way you can do. You can start podcasting and using your existing content to, start adding your own lift. So if you don't want to just add the listen tool, for example, to transcribe the article, because that's great, I'll read it to you, but you wanted to have more of a conversation like we're having, though, add that to your article topic as well.
Okay. And going back to, you mentioned, having links and other things attached to your SEO, or maybe like your blogs or articles. Can you explain a little bit about how to build a strong backlink profile with all of the updates and changes?
Yeah. So the first thing we want to do is just, be patient, right? Like there's going to be, and be careful when you're shopping for this stuff, because backlinks can inherently lift you really quick, but if they're not quality and they're spammy, they're going to take you down just as quick as they brought you up. So one thing you want to do, if there's anything I would say, is find sites that have a high domain authority. So one of the key factors in SEO is, if I'm getting a backlink from Cape Coral Car Club, and I'm a video production company, it's not a very high authority site, it's just somebody's hobby site, it's not going to hold a whole lot of value and do me a whole lot of good. Where I always tell people to start is, one, did you graduate from a university, right? Like I graduated from Florida State, as you saw in my long bio. So What I'm allowed to do is they have alumni profile, so I can go in there, create my own alumni profile in my directory or bio. I'm putting links back to my company and any edu that you can get on that, you know. So maybe what you want to do is enroll in every college now, just go back to school and build your profile, but find something that has a high domain authority in the edu. There's also that going back to like the business directory sense, like when we're doing backlinks, we have kind of like a formula where we're actually going and doing image sharing. So create an account on Flickr, go find image sharing sites that are high domain authority sites that are popular. And we're just adding pictures. So I have a title company. I'm just going in and putting like, look at so-and-so got a new title, and we're optimizing that image with the keyword and linking back to the website. There's video sharing. So make sure you have a Vimeo account, YouTube account. There's other accounts that we can do. Answer a question in Quora. Go into Quora, set up account. That's a huge domain authority site where you can just start participating and answering questions. Yahoo Answers is another one we use. Reddit. So if there's a forum going on in Reddit's going to be another way that we, out of the box, we're going at Reddit, Quora, all these social sharing, video sharing, image sharing. I have a whole list of ones that we focus on over time.
And given, how everyone is always on their phone or like their iPad or some kind of smart device, given Google's emphasis on mobile first indexing, what are some of the most critical aspects you would say of mobile optimization that businesses should revisit to ensure they stay competitive or to help them, advance in the search engine rankings?
I think the first and foremost, if I was going to tell anyone, whether you're managing a client or your own site, go to Google PageSpeed Insights, run your website through that, and just look at the mobile score. If it's not done well, most of them probably aren't looking that good, and it is a heavy weighting factor now. But a lot of that is tricky. It is really tricky. Like I spent 6 months trying to get one site to get a score of 100, and it took a lot of tweaking, and you've got to have a developer most of the time. But my point is, when you go to Google PageSpeed Insights and run your site through it, it's going to break it down. There's a tab at the top. I'll say mobile versus desktop. Look at the mobile, and it'll start to show you your scores. And as you scroll down, it will show you and rank the factors that are inhibiting your mobile right now. And the biggest thing you want to do, and the trickiest one, is what they call core web vitals. This has become more prominent. It's more of a technical SEO that requires some sort of one patience and some knowledge on JavaScript and coding that can require, that sometimes is required to alleviate some of those things. And I'll give you a perfect example. Most of you, if you run that through, you're going to see this shift or whatnot, where I'll start to say things like your CSL shift or LMS shift or whatever it may be. And this is literally a factor. And I see it every day. I go to Sun Sentinel. I read my article about the Miami Heat. And if you're scrolling on your phone, think of the last time you're scrolling there, and all of a sudden what you're reading moves and it shifts because it's loading an ad or something else is coming in or a banner's popping up. You want to make sure that you're able to address all those things, because if you don't have a good mobile experience and it's frustrating the user, Google knows this now, and it's not going to help you rank. But I will also tell you, it's nothing. You want to address it sooner rather than later. But I can tell you right now that I've seen websites that rank just as well on mobile as desktop. Like desktop will be perfect score and they're number one. They're still number one on mobile. So that stuff needs to be addressed, because every time Google's rolling out an algorithm, it's trying to improve based on user experience and helping the intent of the searcher.
So based off of, everything we've talked about, and, clearly being mobile optimized is extremely important now because everyone's just on their phones. It's the first thing you go to. I do it myself, especially with restaurants, like you mentioned earlier, to look at their menu or look at the reviews or whatever it might be. What would you say are the top 5 things that businesses can implement right away to help them, with their SEO?
Top 5 things? Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I would say run your website through PageSpeed and look at how you're being viewed there and address those technical issues. Even if you can't do it yourself, find a developer that can. Spy on your competitors to get good key ideas. There's a site called spyfoo.com that you can have a free account. It's limited in what it'll give you, but it'll at least start to look at what your competitors are doing and give you ideas. And then make sure your site is optimize on-page SEO. So look at your current site and just see if you're ranking for the keywords you want to rank for, and then start establishing what pages you want to, or what keywords you want to rank for, and aligning one page for that keyword. So that's the best thing I could tell you today is don't try to optimize one page for multiple services, right? You might be able to get by with, if I'm talking about SEO and then I'm spelling out search indexation, that's a good strategy, but I don't want to have a SEO Fort Myers page and talking too much about video production. I can pepper a little bit about how we use video in our SEO strategy. So just know it's, when in doubt, it's a one page to one focus keyword. And then the other thing, what I would do is take any existing blog articles you have and run. This is a huge one that has really helped us. And literally just go into ChatGPT and say, ChatGPT, please write 5 FAQs based on this page, and it will whip that up, put those at the bottom of your page, and then have it write the schema markup. And that alone, we've seen just taking existing content and seeing really quick lifts for that. I think that was 5.
Yeah, I think so too. But those were really great and very, informational, and seems like it would be, very simple for someone either starting out or, someone who needs to address their SEO, things that they can start implementing right away today. And if someone were looking for, your services, how do they reach out to you? How do they contact you?
Well, the easiest way is to go to learnlaughcrybuy.com. That's one way, or M&M Multimedia. I'll take you to the same place. Mm-hmm. Or, Google M&M Multimedia. You should find us that way. And, or you can reach out to me at mhaley@m&mmultimedia.com.
What do you want to leave everyone with before we hop off of here?
Well, I guess the best thing, one thing I mentioned is we always, kind of along those lines, if you do need to find someone, whether it's us or not, is in the class, we always end it with how to shop for SEO pros, right? So like the things you want to look is one, is their SEO good? Are they ranking for the things they want to rank for, right? Is there reviews and case studies, references? We could do that all day. Meet with the agency, like see if they, whether it's through Zoom or whatever, see what they're made up of. Is everything they do in-house? It doesn't, that might be important to you. Like most agencies are going to sub a few things out here and there to begin with, especially, but like most of our stuff's all in-house. I'm personally managing most of the SEO with Grace and a couple content writers. Also understand that SEO is a slow burn. That's so important to know. We were just joking before this class. I onboarded someone 2 weeks ago, and he's called me today and said, how's our SEO going? And I said, well, it's going. We've done the keyword research. We've optimized all your on pages. And, in 90 days to 180, you'll start to see results. So understanding that it does take time. If you're not patient or don't have, you need something sooner rather than later, there's other digital marketing strategies that you can implement. And that would be my other thing. A tip is like what I did is I ran Google Ads for a little bit when we first started for the keywords I wanted to rank for organically. And then once I was able to get those ranked organically, I could shut off those ads and save that money or use that same money to target other things. Also track your competitors and understand, like, do you have a website that lends itself to SEO? Like if it's one of these, do it yourself, Wix, Squarespace, not saying they can't do SEO. They do. They've been adding more and more tools. But like the reason we pick WordPress is we have full control of all the code. We're not limited in what we can do when it comes to fixing some issues that you might see in Google Search Console or Cord with Vitals. And then the last but not least, I would just give you those top 5 tools again that I gave them the other day. So the top AI SEO tools, like I said, is ChatGPT. There's Perplexity.ai, which is similar to ChatGPT, but what Perplexity is really good for is getting real world stats and data. So like we use Perplexity all the time to say, hey, what are the latest trends in SEO? What are the most significant stats and changes? And it's really good to help create content that becomes forms of more data and infographics and so forth like that. As I mentioned earlier, if you had to pick all in one paid tool, Surface SEO is the way to go. There's another one that we use called, that we just started using that helps us do our kind of like batch article processing where I can generate 10s and 20s of articles at a time, called Cuppa, Cuppa. So that's another one. And then the one I mentioned was the Humanize AI Text.ai. So when in doubt, use AI, but then run it through one of those tools. And then the other thing I would have mentioned too is, a lot of people, now that ChatGPT's been around a lot, you can go into ChatGPT. I think you might need the paid account. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but they have what they call custom GPT. So when you're looking at the top left, go to custom GPTs. I'll bring up a search box. Just type in SEO. There's everything from keyword planning to how to write your correct robot TXT file to the schema. There's ones that can do what they call a competitor keyword analysis gap, meaning like I do this every quarter where I look at our competitors and say who's ranking everybody, and it'll literally spit out tables of like, hey, this competitor is number one, you're number two here for this. So utilize the custom GPTs, and then like I said, have a conversation with ChatGPT when you're writing your content.
Yeah, I do believe that feature's on the paid version, but I will say I utilize the paid version ChatGPT, and it's definitely worth it as long as you know how to use it too. You do have to, know what you're doing a little bit, especially with the image generator. It still has, some bugs and stuff to work out on there.
Yeah, let me leave you with one. That's funny that you said it, because we do SEO for Matanza Inn down at the beach, and another strategy we use is called the verses, right? So when it lends it, you could do, and this could be a product thing, right? Like blue jeans versus green jeans or whatever. These are things people type in verse all the time. And so what we did there is we were trying things to do. And so we put what to do today, jet skiing versus fishing. And it said, would you like us to generate an AI image? And I swear to God, it came up with an image that was graphically and driven, like an illustration. And it was a guy on a jet skiing, pulling a skier on skis, holding a tow rope skiing. While the guy was skiing, he had a fishing pole. So it took it a little bit too literally. I talked to the owners of Matanza and I said,
hilarious.
You want to keep this or not? They said, that's hilarious. Let's keep it. So you got to know your client too. It's like, to me, my instinct is like, we can't put that out there. I'm like, I think these guys have a sense of humor. So.
And they did.
Yes, they did.
It's really funny though. So it can either work in your favor, what it generates, or you really have to be detailed with explaining exactly what you want it to generate.
Exactly. Yeah, just be careful. Make sure you look at it before you automatically post anything.
Yeah, you don't need any extra hands or fingers or, arms coming out of nowhere.
Exactly.
But this has been really informational, and it's helped me learn a lot, and I'm sure it's helped a lot of people as well. I will definitely send out the recording to everybody. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining me and sharing everything you have learned over the years and have kept up with. We're really appreciative of it, and you can always reach out to Mike through mnmmultimedia.com, or you can reach out to me, and I would be more than happy to do an introduction with Mike to find out how you all can improve your SEO. So thank you so much, Mike. I will let you get back to your busy day, and I will talk to you soon.
No problem. Thanks for the opportunity. Have a good one.
Thanks, Mike. You too.